How's it going, everybody? It's Royalty Crypto here, and today I'm going to be talking about one of the most important projects in crypto, that being Chainlink. I'm also going to talk about whether or not I think this coin is currently at a bottom, and go over some interesting pieces of news that will be affecting not only the price of Chainlink, but the overall altcoin market as well. And before I get into all of that, this is a brand new crypto channel, so if you like this type of content, please make sure to smash that like and subscribe button. But alright guys, let's go ahead and take a look at the Chainlink chart. As you can see, we are currently trading at $13.04, which equates to a $9.23 billion market cap for this coin. And we've basically been trading sideways for the past month or so. Now, I don't think that's a negative thing whatsoever, because basically the entire altcoin market has been chopping sideways. So I think that it is just a matter of time before the volatility returns to this project. And when you zoom out to the 1-year chart for Chainlink, you can see that we are basically sitting at yearly lows right now. And the last 2 times we got this low on the chart, we actually did have very nice recoveries. As you can see, when we hit these prices back in April of 2025, we had a recovery back up to $17. And then when we got back down to that price in June of 2025, we had a very nice recovery all the way up to about $27. So in my opinion, guys, buying down here at the $13 range is a very good risk to reward opportunity. But of course, that is not financial advice, and you should always be doing your own research if you decide to buy an asset like this. Also, when we go on over to the crypto fear and greed index, you can see that we are currently sitting at a 41, which is at the lower end of neutral. So that means that we are not experiencing any euphoria in the markets. And in my opinion, if you want to be a profitable crypto trader, you need to be buying into fear and selling into greed. And although this chart has recovered quite a bit in the past month, as you can see, we did hit our low at a 10. We have still yet to see a real recovery for most altcoins like Chainlink. So I do think that this is still a good time to be accumulating. However, this could be one of your last chances to accumulate, because if we do have a strong recovery for these coins and we get back above about the 50 to 55 range on this chart, I will be no longer accumulating altcoins, because I believe the more greed that returns to the market, the riskier it is to buy. And once we get up to around the 70 to 90 range on this chart, I will be aggressively taking profits on basically every coin in my portfolio, and I will continue to monitor this chart on my channel and let you guys know when I start to take profits. But alright, let's go on back to Chainlink. I think that it is very realistic to think that this coin could potentially break all-time highs at some point this year. As you can see on the market cap chart, we got to as high as a $20 billion market cap back in 2021 for this coin. I think that it is realistic that we could get anywhere between a $20 billion market cap to as high as a $50 billion market cap, as long as we see some sort of parabolic bull run this year. Also guys, if you're unaware of what Chainlink does, it is increasingly viewed as a crucial infrastructure for bridging traditional finance and blockchain ecosystems through its cross-chain interoperability protocol. As most of you know, traditional finance has been moving on-chain at basically the most aggressive rate that we have ever seen in the past couple of months, and I believe that that will continue all of 2026. There's rumors that the stock market will be completely on-chain by the end of the year and trading 24/7 just like the crypto market. And of course, our government is now pro-crypto and pro-blockchain, and massive institutions like BlackRock and Fidelity are also pro-blockchain and moving some of their assets on-chain as well. So in a pro-blockchain environment like this, a coin like Chainlink should perform incredibly well, and that is what I am personally expecting for this project for 2026. Also guys, you can see that we've had some pretty significant partnerships in the last couple of months. The first one being Coinbase has selected Chainlink CCIP, or cross-chain protocol, as the exclusive and secure bridging solution for its $7 billion worth of wrapped assets across different chains. And of course, this is a major institutional endorsement, considering that Coinbase is the largest exchange in the United States in terms of crypto. Also, you can see that a lot of the major stock exchanges like the FTSE Russell, S&P Global, and ICE, which is a parent company for the New York Stock Exchange, are using Chainlink's data link services to bring their global financial index and Forex/ slash precious metal data on chain for the first time ever. So it is impossible to deny that people are not using Chainlink and that traditional finance is not starting to bridge their assets on chain, because it is taking place in front of us right now, and some of the most influential people on Wall Street are preaching this left and right. So yeah, I don't see how you could possibly be bearish on Chainlink for the medium to long term. Also guys, this is a very bullish thing in terms of potential price action, but we have had multiple ETFs approved and launched for Chainlink, including Grayscale and Bitwise. And Grayscale's ETF saw substantial first day inflows, which of course signals growing institutional interest in regulated link exposure. So this is very cool to see, especially since crypto is in a pretty bearish time right now. So I can only imagine how much inflows these ETFs will be getting once the greed and euphoria returns to the crypto markets, because institutional investors, although they might seem more professional, pretty much behave just like retail investors, and you can expect them to FOMO hard into Chainlink if it does end up performing well and if the overall crypto market starts to get hot. So yeah, this is very bullish to see. Also, the last thing that I wanted to talk about in terms of Chainlink is the fact that the White House actually mentioned it in their digital assets report, as you can see below. So yeah guys, the writing is really just on the wall for Chainlink in my opinion. I mean, if the United States government is quite literally recognizing Link in its use case, I would say that that is a very bullish thing in terms of adoption for Chainlink. But alright guys, let's go ahead and talk about some pieces of news that will be affecting the prices of these assets. And the first one here is the fact that the Supreme Court will be making their decision on whether or not President Trump's tariffs are illegal, and that will be taking place on Wednesday. And as you can see here earlier today, Trump says that we are absolutely screwed if the Supreme Court rules against his tariffs, and there is currently a 70% chance likelihood that that will happen. So this is of course very bearish in my opinion. However, I'm not sure how financial markets will end up reacting to this, because I know that there is a lot of people that actually hate the tariffs because of the uncertainty and negative price action that it caused markets. So maybe it could end up being a good thing in terms of price action if these tariffs end up being deemed illegal. However, from what I've seen so far, it does seem like even if the Supreme Court does deem these tariffs illegal, there will be other ways that the administration could potentially work around that decision. So we'll just have to see what ends up taking place with this. But in my opinion, guys, this is undoubtedly a negative thing, because not only does it potentially screw up the stimulus checks that we were all hoping to receive in 2026, but it also just adds a bunch of uncertainty to the markets, and markets hate uncertainty. Also, guys, we had this take place this morning. Jerome Powell has been referred to the DOJ for criminal charges for pre-jury related to his $2.5 billion renovation to the Federal Reserve building. Now, guys, I'm not trying to get too political or too much into this, because obviously I do not know the full story when it comes to this renovation, but the fact that this renovation somehow costed $2.5 billion is definitely a red flag in my opinion. And I understand that he obviously had to get this funding approved through the government, so you would think that they would have put a stop to this, or at least asked questions about what was taking place. But I just don't see how you could possibly spend $2.5 billion renovating a federal building. Like, I don't understand what they could possibly be spending that much money on. Like, are they just installing everything in solid gold or something? Like, I don't understand how this happens. But regardless, this is very interesting in terms of what could happen with the new Fed chair. If Jerome Powell actually does get charged with this, it is possible that Trump could appoint a new Fed chair sooner than May of 2026. And I understand that some people are probably thinking like, well, what's the big deal if we just have to wait 4 months for Jerome Powell to be gone? Like, why is that even significant? Well, in my opinion, guys, it comes down to the midterms. Trump, of course, wants the overall economy to be in a good spot and stock and crypto prices to be elevated going into the midterms so that the Republicans end up getting elected. So in my opinion, I believe he is doing this so that he could potentially start to stimulate the economy earlier in the year so that the overall stock market and crypto market has a nice rebound going into the actual midterms. So yeah, guys, we'll just have to see what ends up taking place with this. In the short term, it could be negative because this is of course more uncertainty for for the market. But at the same time, if he is able to appoint this Fed chair soon, then that could be positive. All right, guys, the last thing that I wanted to briefly talk about is the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, and I am currently looking at this on the 1 week time frame. As you can see, this chart is pretty balanced in the short term, as we have about the same amount of short liquidations and long liquidations, so there's not much of an incentive, in my opinion, for the market makers to manipulate the price of Bitcoin. However, guys, it is possible that market makers could decide to liquidate the long traders and bring the price of Bitcoin back down to around 88 to 85,000, and they could of course use this tariff ruling on Wednesday to do so. So definitely be ready for some volatility this week, as we will most likely be seeing it. But regardless, guys, if you zoom out to the 3-month chart on the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, we are still incredibly balanced to the upside. As you can see, there is significantly more short traders open than long trades. So I think that it is just a matter of time before the price of Bitcoin pushes up to around $120,000 and liquidates all of these short traders. I think that that is the most likely scenario in the next 2 to 3 months. But all right, that's going to do it for this video. I hope that you all enjoyed the content, and I hope everybody has a fantastic week. Stay strong, stay bullish, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.